Here in Sunol, California. Take you on a tour of what was one of, in my opinion, the best short course road races. Last time I did this race was in 1986 and finished in the bunch. A couple guys slipped away, interestingly enough, on the descent. This would be the start-finish line right here at this gas station. It was the start-finish line. So this heads out here to this farmland, which is really beautiful. And yes, I am driving and videotaping this at the same time. So this is dead flat here from the start-finish. It's about I think this is about a 10 or 12 kilometer circuit. My recollection that we did, I think in our category, which then for me was the category 3, we did, I think we did 4 laps on this course. Sounds about right. Might have been 5, I can't remember. Anyway, beautiful morning here in Sunol, California. This is the course, and heading out to what is, excuse me, a couple of climbs. They're short, but like power climbs. I remember riding these in I think I rode this first section here in a 4217 because it was short. Coming up on this, I'm probably still in the big chain ring through these rolling sections. Now we're starting to head into the hills. This, try and keep the camera off the sun because I'm heading right into it. But so here's the beginning of the first climb, which really isn't much of a climb at all. Actually, this is probably about I don't know, somewhere around 4 or 5% right here. Still need to be in the small ring, I reckon, unless you were some little guy. I think I rode this. I think I rode this through here 4217 out of the saddle. This is pretty short. Kind of rolls up here. Gets tight. This is definitely a tight little road. Comes up here. Around this corner. The top is, this first section is right here. Power up over this thing. Nobody really forced it on this first section because where all the action happened was on the second climb. As you can see, this climb right here on a bike probably lasted maybe 3 or 4 minutes at best. This is the top right here. Beautiful farmland. And then it heads down here to what is a really sharp right turn. Important, very important, was to be on the front here, because if you weren't, you would have been at the back of the climb and would have missed any moves. The main climb on this course. So we're coming up to the stop sign in the hard right turn. We're on Andrade Road. I'm going to turn right on Sheridan. These houses weren't here, of course, when we were racing out here. Oh, hi, honey. And so here's the run into the main climb. And this is tight, undivided, pretty narrow. And of course, back in these days, these races that we did were not closed course. So we were having to worry about oncoming traffic. The fields weren't very big in those days. I think we had, maybe 50 guys in our field at best. Starting to head up to the main climb here now. It's a narrow, undivided road here, canopied with trees. And this is again about 6 or 7%, kind of the equivalent of Southgate on Mount Diablo. But this kicks up at the end. It's actually pretty damn tough. Leads you to think that it's not that hard, and a lot of guys overcook it. I was one of them. And flattens out here in the middle just a taste. Takes you down to probably what's about, another 4 or 5%. And coming up here to what will be the point where all the fireworks start on this course. And that's the main part of the climb. It really kicks up right here. This house was the indication, this white house here that it was going to go off. And this is where it starts getting steep right here. This is probably, I don't know, an 8 or 10% right through here. Kicks up here, heading up now to the top. This little place at the top was here then. Still here. This guy's house. And now we're at the top of the climb. This is the top of the climb. Breakaways really rarely succeeded on this course, and here's why. Because this is the top of the climb right here, and it starts heading downhill right away. So if you were good in time trialing, you could get back on even if you got dropped on this climb. This gets technical in here, actually. You can see this is a pretty tight section through here too. Twists and turns. So being alone actually in pursuit was not altogether bad, because you could make your own line through these turns. You're coming slightly downhill through here. And I know I got dropped a couple of times and got back on the group right over the overpass of what is 680, and I'll narrate that in a second here. So you're coming across what is Sheridan Road and what will soon be the Sheridan Road overpass over 680. This is it right here. And now we're heading downhill. We've pretty much been flat. Now it's slightly downhill, heading up to the 680 overpass, the Sheridan Road 680 overpass. Rebuilt this overpass. Actually, this is a new overpass, wider. And then there's a hard right turn down what would be the north side of 680 here. Hard right down a descent. This descent was pretty dangerous, actually. This is 680 right out here. You can see all the cars. It's 680 down there. But this descent was dangerous because there was a lot of desperation to stay up near the front on this, especially a lot of guys who were at the back trying to get to the front that weren't out on the climb. And saw a lot of hairy moves on this thing, a lot of blind corners, frame pumps flying off, Fig Newtons hitting me in the face. This was a pretty fast descent too. I remember hitting close to 50 on this a couple of times in a bunch, which is kind of white knuckle. So we're heading down the descent here, which is basically a downhill version of the climb we just went up in terms of gradient. And again, this was not a closed course, so dealing with the potential for being pushed out of the bunch into oncoming traffic on a blind corner like this one right here, completely blind. Here's the top speed reached right on this descent here in the middle. This would have been where you would have hit 45 or 50 miles an hour, no problem. Coming down here to the bottom of the descent, and here we are. Starts to level off. Hey, get out of there. Really nice day today. And, so this flattens out at the bottom here. We're heading right back over to the start-finish line again. Just about maybe a kilometer and a half. Got a speed bump I got to slow down for there. Remember what the difference is between a speed bump and a speed hump. I think a hump is longer. Bump is shorter. Bumpier. There's another one. These weren't here. And coming back down here to where I started with you. The start-finish line. This is the golf course over here. Back around, cross back over 680 to where the start-finish would have been. That's the Sunol road race. It was really a great road race. A lot of fun, a lot of action. Close. Wasn't that great. Just like the Tassajara road race. That was another one. It was a hop, skip, and a jump. Well, that's the whole circuit.